If you're watching this, stop for a second, because what you're about to hear might be the only honest moment you've had in years. You think you're living your life, making your own choices, moving forward, but deep down, there's a quiet discomfort you never talk about. That feeling that something is off, that you're not where you're supposed to be. You wake up, you scroll, you react, you repeat, and somehow call it life. But what if none of this is actually you? What if you've been slowly shaped into someone else, piece by piece, without even realizing it? And the scariest part, you accepted it. You adapted. You stopped questioning. Because questioning hurts. It forces you to face the truth that you've been running on autopilot, living a version of life that feels safe but empty. And right now, your ego is trying to reject this, trying to protect you from discomfort. But be honest, if everything was fine, this video wouldn't hit you like this. So the real question is, are you ready to face yourself, or will you run again? Don't skip this, because the fact that you are here right now is not random. Something inside you is tired of the same routine, the same thoughts, the same empty victories that don't feel like anything. You tell yourself you're doing okay, that this is just how life works. But if that was true, why do you feel this constant restlessness? Why does silence feel uncomfortable? Because silence forces you to meet yourself, and you've been avoiding that for a long time. You filled your life with noise, so you wouldn't have to think. But thinking is dangerous. It wakes you up. It shows you the gap between who you are and who you could have been. And that gap hurts your ego. It reminds you of wasted time, ignored dreams, and choices you never questioned. But here's the truth. It's not too late. The only thing stopping you is you. So tell me, are you brave enough to break your own illusion? Look at your life closely, not through your phone, not through distraction, but honestly, are you living or just passing time? Because there's a difference, and deep down you know it. You've been chasing things you were told to chase. Success, validation, approval, but none of it feels real. It's like you're playing a role in a story that was never yours. And you got so good at pretending that you forgot who you actually are. That's the trap. Not pain, but comfort. A comfortable illusion that keeps you stuck while making you feel okay. But okay is dangerous. Okay keeps you asleep, and your ego loves that. It wants you safe, predictable control. But your soul, your real self, is screaming right now. You just don't hear it because you've buried it under years of distraction. So I'll ask you something simple. If you continue like this for the next 5 years, will you be proud or just older? Right now, you're not just watching a video. You're confronting something you've been avoiding. Because the truth is, you've been lying to yourself. Not intentionally, but consistently. You told yourself you'll start later, change later, fix things later, but later never came. It never does. Because later is the most comfortable lie your mind tells you. It protects your ego from feeling like you're behind. But deep down, you know you are. And that realization hurts. It creates pressure. It creates fear. But it also creates opportunity. Because the moment you see the lie, you have a choice. Stay the same or break the pattern. But breaking the pattern means discomfort, uncertainty, and facing your real self without excuses. And most people choose comfort. So the question is, are you like most people? You've been distracted for so long that you forgot what clarity feels like. Every moment of boredom, you escape. Every moment of silence, you feel. Because being alone with your thoughts is uncomfortable. It forces you to see things you don't want to see. The wasted time, the missed chances, the version of you that never got a chance to exist. And your ego hates that. It wants to keep you busy, numb, entertain, because as long as you're distracted, you won't change. But right now, something is different. You are here. You are listening. And that means a part of you is ready. Ready to stop running. Ready to face reality. But be careful, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So decide. Stay asleep or finally wake up. There's a reason this video found you. And it's not motivation. It's confrontation. Because deep down, you already know what you need to do. You've just been avoiding it. You keep waiting for the right time, the perfect moment, the clear sign. But what if this is it? What if this discomfort you feel right now is the signal you've been waiting for? Your ego will try to dismiss it, to scroll away, to forget everything you're hearing, because change threatens the identity you've built. But ask yourself, is that identity even real? Or is it just a collection of habits and expectations you never questioned? Because if it's not real, then what are you protecting? You don't lack potential, you lack awareness. And that's worse, because potential without awareness keeps you stuck in a loop of almost successful, almost happy, almost free, but never fully there. When you've accepted that, you've normalized mediocrity because it's comfortable, because it doesn't challenge your ego. But comfort is killing your growth slowly. And one day you'll wake up not to opportunity, but to regret. And regret is heavier than fear. So think carefully. Are you willing to suffer a little now or a lot later? Everything around you is designed to keep you distracted, entertained, controlled, and the worst part, you cooperate with it. You reach for your phone without thinking, you scroll without purpose, you consume without awareness, and then you wonder why you feel empty. Because consumption without consciousness creates disconnection. You've disconnected from yourself, from your purpose, from your reality, and now you feel lost, but you don't know why. But now you do. The question is, will you do something about it? You're not stuck because life is hard. You're stuck because you're avoiding hard truth. It's easier to blame circumstance, people, timing, than to look in the mirror and admit that you've been holding yourself back. That's where your ego fights the hardest. Because taking responsibility means losing excuses. And excuses feel safe, but they keep you weak. And deep down, you know you're stronger than this. You just haven't proven it to yourself yet. So maybe this is your moment to stop hiding and start becoming. This might be the most important moment you ignore today. Because right now, you are aware of your pattern, your distraction, your reality. But awareness is dangerous because it demands action. And action is uncomfortable. So your mind will try to forget this, to move on, to go back to normal. But normal is exactly what's keeping you stuck. So before you leave, ask yourself one thing honestly. If you don't change anything after this, then what was the point of watching? If you're still here, then stop pretending for a moment. Stop acting like everything is under control, because deep down, you know it's not. You've built this version of yourself. Looks fine on the outside, but inside there's confusion, hesitation, and a constant feeling that you're falling behind. And the worst part, you don't even know what you're chasing anymore. You wake up, you move, you react, but there's no real direction. Just motion, just noise, and you've convinced yourself that this is normal, that everyone feels this way. But that's the lie that keeps you stuck, because normal doesn't mean right, it just means common. And common people live average lives. Now ask yourself honestly, is that what you want? Or have you just settled for it because it's easier than facing the truth? Because facing the truth means admitting that you've wasted time, ignored opportunities, and stayed comfortable when you should have taken risks. And your ego hates that. It will do anything to protect you from that pain. It will tell you to scroll, to ignore, to move on. But if you do that again, you're proving one thing, that you're not ready to change. So right now, this moment, is your test. Are you going to stay the same or finally break your own pattern? Listen carefully, because this might be the only time someone tells you the truth without sugarcoating it. You are not stuck because of your situation. You are stuck because of your habits. The way you think, the way you react, the way you avoid discomfort, that's what's holding you back. Not your past, not your environment. You, and I know your ego doesn't like hearing that. It wants to blame something else, anything else, because blaming gives you relief. But it also keeps you powerless, because if it's not your fault, then you can't fix it. And that's the trap. You stay comfortable in excuses while your life slowly slips away. Days turn into months, months into years, and suddenly you realize nothing has changed. Same mindset, same result, same frustration, and now you're left with one question. How did I end up here? But the truth is, you didn't end up here. You chose this. Every time you avoided growth, every time you ignored your potential, every time you chose comfort over progress, you built this life. And that realization hits hard. It hurts, but it also gives you power. Because if you build this, you can destroy it. The only question is, do you have the courage to do it? There's something you've been running from, and it's not failure, it's yourself. Because failure is external, but facing yourself is internal. It forces you to look at your thoughts, your fears, your patterns, and accept that you've been holding yourself back. And that's not easy. So instead, you distract yourself. You fill your time with meaningless things just to avoid that one moment of clarity where everything becomes obvious. Because in that moment, there are no excuses, no distractions, just you and the truth. And the truth is simple. You are not living at your full potential, not even close. You've been playing small, thinking small, choosing safe paths that lead nowhere. And deep down, you know it, you feel it every time you compare yourself to who you could have been. Every time you see someone doing what you were afraid to try. That feeling, that quiet regret, that's your real self calling you out. But instead of listening, you silence it. Because it's easier. But easy doesn't lead anywhere. It just keeps you stuck in the same place while time moves forward without you. So ask yourself this. If you keep ignoring this voice, what will your life look like in 5 years? And more importantly, will you even recognize yourself? Right now, you're standing at a line. You might not see it, but you can feel it. On one side, there's the life you've been leading. Comfortable, predictable, controlled. And on the other side, there's something unknown, uncertain, challenging, but real. And most people never cross that line, not because they can't, but because they won't. Because stepping into the unknown means letting go of the version of yourself you've been holding on to for so long. And that's terrifying. Your ego will fight it. It will remind you of everything you could lose, but it will never tell you what you could gain. Because growth requires risk, and risk requires courage. And courage is rare. But here's the truth. You already feel it. That pull, that curiosity, that discomfort. That's not rent. That's your mind waking up. That's your real self trying to break free from the version you've been stuck in. And you have a choice. Ignore it and go back to sleep. Or follow it and change everything. But just remember, every time you ignore this feeling, it gets weaker until one day it disappears completely. And when that happens, you won't even realize what you've lost. If this video found you, it's not coincidence, it's confrontation. Because there's a version of you that you've been avoiding for a long time. A version that knows you're capable of more, but is tired of waiting for you to act. You keep saying one day, like it's promised, like you have unlimited time to fix everything. But deep down, you know that's a lie. Days are passing fast and you're not moving. You're stuck in the same pattern, the same mindset, the same excuses that once felt valid, but now just feel repetitive. And the scariest part is you've started to accept it. You've lowered your expectations. You've convinced yourself that this is enough, that this version of you is okay. But is it really? Or is it just easier than facing the truth that you've been settling? Because settling doesn't hurt immediately. It slowly numbs you. It makes you forget what ambition feels like, what hunger feels like. And one day you wake up and realize you didn't lose your potential overnight. You lost it in small decisions, in ignored moments, in choices you thought didn't matter, but they did, every single one of them. And now you're here, aware of it. And awareness is dangerous because once you see it, you can't pretend anymore. So what will you do now? Continue the same cycle? Right now, somewhere in your mind, there's a memory, a moment where you told yourself you'd be different by now, that you'd be stronger, more disciplined, more focused, that you wouldn't be stuck in the same place. But look at yourself, be honest. How much has really changed? Not the small things, not the temporary motivation, but real change, the kind that transforms your life. It's not there, is it? And that realization hurts more than anything, because it forces you to see that time didn't fail you. You failed time. You had opportunities, you had chances, but you let them pass. Not because you couldn't take them, but because you chose comfort instead. And now your ego is trying to protect you. It's telling you it's okay, that you'll figure it out later. But later is the same lie you believed years ago, and look where it got you. The truth is harsh, but it's necessary. If you don't change now, nothing will change. Not magically, not eventually, never. And one day, you look back at this exact moment and realize it was your chance, your turning point, the moment where you could have decided to be different but didn't. So don't ask yourself, what if? Ask yourself, why not now? Try something right now. Don't move. Don't scroll. Just sit in silence for a moment. Notice how uncomfortable it feels. Notice how quickly your mind tries to escape. That's not random. That's exposure. Because silence removes distractions. And distractions are what keep you from seeing reality clearly. In silence, there's no hiding, no pretending. Just you and your thoughts. And your thoughts are loud, not because they're new, but because you've been ignoring them for so long. They remind you of things you've been avoiding, decisions you've delayed, changes you know you need to make, but haven't. And that creates pressure. It creates discomfort. But that discomfort is not your enemy. It's your signal. It's your mind telling you something is off, that you're not aligned with who you're supposed to be. But instead of listening, you escape. You reach for your phone. You find something to watch, something to distract you, because it's easier than facing reality. But easy has a cost. It keeps you stuck. And every time you choose distraction over awareness, you move further away from yourself. So ask yourself, how long will you keep running? Your biggest enemy is not the world, it's your own ego. Because your ego doesn't want growth, it wants comfort. It wants to protect you from feeling small, from feeling behind, from feeling wrong. So it lies to you. It tells you you're doing fine, that you don't need to change, that things will work out eventually. But those lies are slowly destroying your potential. Because while you stay comfortable, others are growing. While you hesitate, others are taking risks. And deep down, you see, you feel it. That quiet comparison, that silent pressure, that awareness that you are capable of more but not acting on it. And that's where your ego gets exposed because it can't hide from truth forever. Eventually, reality catches up, and when it does, it hits hard. Regret, frustration, realization, all at once, and by then, time is gone. Opportunities are gone, and you're left with nothing but, I could have. So ask yourself now, do you want to protect your ego or build your future? There's a version of you that doesn't exist yet, but could. A version that is stronger, sharper, more focused, more alive. But that version is not waiting for you. It's fading away. Because potential doesn't stay forever. It either gets used or it disappears. And every day you delay, every time you choose comfort over growth, you move further away from that version until one day it's gone completely. And you won't even realize. You'll just feel empty, unfulfilled, like something is missing, but you won't know what. And that's the scariest part. Not failure, but never even try, never even knowing what you could have become. And deep down, that fear is already there. You feel it in quiet moments, in late nights, in thoughts you try to ignore, because you know you're capable of more. You just haven't proven it yet. So the question is, will you? This might be the moment you forget tomorrow, but remember years later. Because right now, you're aware. You see things clearly. You feel something shifting inside you. But awareness is temporary unless you act on it. And most people don't. They feel it, they understand it, and then they go back to normal, back to comfort, back to routine, and slowly, and life continues, unchanged. But deep down, something always feels off, because once you've seen the truth, even for a moment, you can't fully escape it. It stays with you, quietly, reminding you of what you ignored, of what you could have done, of who you could have been. And now, you are living a version of yourself feels normal, but not real. And the scariest part is you adapted to it. You got comfortable because comfort doesn't challenge you. It numbs you. It keeps you safe, predictable, and asleep, while time quietly moves forward without waiting for you. Days turn into months, months into years. And somewhere along the way, you stopped asking yourself the most important question. Is this really me? Instead, you kept going. You filled every empty moment with noise, with scrolling, with discussion, anything to avoid that one moment of clarity where everything becomes obvious. Because in that moment, there are no excuses, no filters, just you and the truth. And the truth is heavy. It tells you that you've been playing small, that you've been choosing comfort over growth, hesitation over action, safety over potential. It reminds you of the person you could have been and the gap between that version and who you are right now. And that gap hurts your ego. It shakes you. Because your ego doesn't want truth, it wants protection. It wants you to stay exactly where you are, convincing you that everything is fine, that you'll change later, that you still have time, but later is the oldest lie you've ever believed, and it's the reason nothing has changed. Look at your life right now, not through excuses, not through hope, but honestly. Are you moving forward or just staying busy? Are you growing or just distracting yourself from the fact that you are not? Because there's a difference. And deep down, you already know it. You feel it in quiet moments, in late nights, in that uncomfortable silence you keep avoiding. That feeling, that restlessness, that quiet voice inside you. That's not weakness, that's awareness. That's the part of you that hasn't given up yet. The part that knows you are capable of more, but is tired of waiting for you to realize. And slowly that awareness fades until one day it disappears completely. And when that happens, you don't even realize what you've lost. You just feel empty, stuck, like something is missing. But you can't explain what, and that's the real danger. Not failure, but never even trying, never even knowing what you could have become if you had the courage to face yourself. So stop for a second and ask yourself something real. If you continue living exactly like this for the next 5 years, will you be proud of who you become, or just older, more tired, and full of regret? Because time doesn't care about your plan. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It keeps moving with or without you. And every moment you choose comfort over growth, you're making a decision to stay the same, a decision to ignore your potential, a decision to slowly become someone you never wanted to be. And one day, you look back at this exact moment, not as just another video, but as a turning point. The moment where you felt something shift inside you, where you saw the truth clearly, even if just for a second. And in that moment, you'll either be proud that you acted or broken by the fact that you didn't. So this is it. Not motivation, not inspiration, a choice. Stay the same or change everything. Wake up or go back to sleep. But whatever you do, don't lie to yourself anymore.